Hey, everybody. Hakim Draper, Chief Strategy Officer here at Avocadata. I've been working with Brian. I've known Brian for about 10 years. We've been working together for the last few years, trying to bring his crazy vision to life. Now that we have, it is with all of your invaluable questions and feedback that we will make this even better and better and better. So with that said, I'm going to shut up and let Brian take over, and let's get this AMA started.
Yeah, guys, definitely. Thank you for all getting in today. So let me get started. There are a few things I just changed within the system. If you weren't here previously, we have created the ability to build custom databases really fast. What that means is, compared to the original databases, which were just business, homeowner, solar, we now have the ability where we will build you a custom database underneath this little section, and only you have that database. So there's two different things to do. There's intent-based audiences, which we've gone over before, and I'll touch on that again, but I want to real quick go over the business professional section that we put together. So over the last few days, we've been getting a lot of licensed professionals, CPAs, lawyers, plumbers, you name it, and we put together this section where you can now target those people directly. Now these lists or search options are much more concise. So this database here now has all different professions. If you now want to find a nurse, you have the ability just to type in nurse under job title, hit search, and we found 714,000 nurses. There's also another ability that I want to get to very quick, which is the marketplace. So that business professional database is under my purchase databases. So that is the reason why I have the ability to list it. Business professionals is right here. This is the day I bought the database. I now get all the updates that go to this database every day because it's listed under purchased. Now, you may have a user that wants to come in to sign up, and they might want nurses just like before. You can show them how to do it the way we just did it, or you can actually go off and build them a custom data product. So this can be for yourself. This can be something you sell. This can be something someone on your own team uses. The applications of what you can do with it, we do not limit. So I'm going to go create a database of licensed nurses. We can pre-filter what this is in advance. I want to go down because right now we need to turn it into a nurse list. So we can just type in nurse under job title just like before. When we hit get count, it's going to create the same exact list that we had before. So when we hit create list and go back to your account, you'll now see licensed nurses. So now your user can just flip that switch, or you can flip the switch depending on who was using the system, and pre-built. But there's one more cool thing that I got done, which was you can actually filter down the pre-built list. So I'm going to refresh just to go through that again. Starting from scratch, almost 22 million professionals. We go look for nurses. We pull up 714,000 nurses. Maybe now you only want to find nurses that are not a homeowner. Maybe you're a real estate agent and you specifically want to target people who are in nursing, maybe some type of public service, police. And right now we find that there's just about 599,000 nurses that are listed as not being a homeowner, or NA, not available. What is actually cool, it's a little off topic, but within Avocadata, the whole database sharing and all of that, you actually can build the dropdown. So I can actually at a later time go and edit that N doesn't include the NA basically. Just a side note that we can control and really, customize any of this that you need. But let's just say you're looking for nurses that are homeowners. Well, we see there's 155,000. So if you wanted this list and you want to maybe filter it down a bit more, maybe you want to find a director who's in nursing. It's going to type in director, and we'll see what comes up. The searches do have to be done perfectly. If it's not typed in perfectly, it's misspelled or there's a space, or it's not going to find it because it is a database and it's programmed to be exact searches. But if we see, we can now go over to title and we'll see job title, director of clinical IT, director of nursing. So we just narrowed down a list of 600 nurses that are nurses and are also directors at the same time. And I will pause for a second just to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, so, obviously these are driven by your questions, everybody. So if you have questions, feel free to put your hand up on the app or drop a question in the chat, and we will make sure we try and get to everybody within this hour. Perfect. Go ahead. Jump in, Randy.
I've got a customer that probably needs 100,000 leads per month for the SETC 1099 stimulus, for lack of a better word. And I need help closing that. And can you guys give me help, in the conversation so I can make a penny a piece?
Well, you could actually white label the system and brand it yourself. I mean, we wouldn't be able to get on a sales call with you, but the whole system is a white label where you can actually, if you flip the little admin switch that you saw on the previous screen, it flips into this whole section. And this whole section is the ability to white label. So you can actually turn your account into your own version. So we take a look at this one. This is a gentleman, freeemaillist.com. He does email marketing. So he's only targeting people in, he wants to promote email. So he does all these services for email, but he only does email marketing for users. So he's doing his email marketing tied with getting data. And like another one, this person does real estate. They're helping people to sell my home, buy my home. So they basically host webinars and show people how to use the account and everything like that. So you do have the ability to white label it, but we wouldn't be able to get on the phone and help you close a deal.
Yeah, you white label it. It's your brand. It's all your, it's your branding. Once you set up your white label, it's your logo, it's your branding, it's your company, it's your product. And you can easily then show them the product without giving them the product to be like, this is the type of data that we're able to provide. And it makes it much easier for you guys to be able to close. When you can show them the product, it's always pretty impressive when you have the intent database and you can go, look, here's how many results are in, and we can start filtering down and figuring out targeting for your specific needs. But yeah, I think that, once you white label it, it's your logo, it's your brand, it's your business, man.
All right, super.
All right. Thank you, Randy.
Okay. All right. I was muted. Okay. So the question I have is, if you want to build a list for targeting customers on LinkedIn, do we have the LinkedIn URL?
Good question. And yes, we do. So
Okay.
I'm going to go over here. So you see how these switches are here, right? And this would be a good example. So let me find the database, professional. The LinkedIns are there, and there's actually a switch where you require every single record to have a LinkedIn link to the personal link. So when I flip that out of 21 million records, there's 10 million that have a LinkedIn profile. Now, you also have the ability to pre-save that. So if you wanted to, in advance, just look up people that have a LinkedIn profile. Now we can do the same thing. Select the business professional database and pre-select the LinkedIn URL. So now we have the LinkedIn URL, we can get count, it'll save. And now when we go back to our, and we want to go back here and we actually look it up, we'll see that now you never have to do that search again. Now, when you come to the system, you'll never have to flip the switch. You can just go right into that database, just like now refreshed it, 22 million in LinkedIn. And now we basically just found what you were asking for. And now you can do it two ways. You can find it here, or you can actually flip the switch. And that's exactly why we do these AMAs.
And I would add a third layer. You can also target them with the SHA-256, just like you can use that to target them in Google Ads or Meta Ads. You can also use that as a custom audience feature for LinkedIn and targeting there. So there's a third way.
Okay, what's it called? Shark or Sharp?
SHA, SHA 256. Just an encryption, 256-bit, and it gives you, it labels you. You're a number in a system. So if you use this number in Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or any social media advertising you would do online, this ID will tag to that person and you will show ads directly to that person, just like custom audiences used to be on Facebook.
All right. Does that answer your question? I see we got John next.
Yeah. So on the LinkedIn, is that LinkedIn, the custom audience identifier, is that just for LinkedIn or is it other platforms as well?
Any social media.
Looks like we got Manuel next.
Yes, I'm here. The data that you find in this website, can you specifically go down to for instance, a city or zip code?
We actually get multiple cities and states, and I removed a lot of them. And the reason why is we get is there a file where I can find it? Basically, there's a company has a state where they're licensed. Like if they're a licensed doctor, we have the state that they're licensed in as another option. I just right now removed it just so personal states there. You do have the ability to filter by personal city, work city, different ones like that, which you could do right here. And if you want to do multiple zip codes, and say you have a random list, you can do multiple zip codes by comma separate. So that's another 1, 2, 3, 0, and that's at search. We'll now filter everybody that are in those postal codes. So there's a total of 1,030 people that are within those postal.
And what information do you receive? You get emails? What else do you get?
So we'll go through it real quick. You get the name, you get the address, you get if they have social connections, we get a range for the age, and we also do get the exact age. We get a column for children, gender, homeowner, we get the net worth, we get the income range. And if they have a LinkedIn, we get the company description. Now we'll skip all the way over. So we get all the information about the company that they listed as what they work for. And right now, these are the things I don't have listed that you can filter by. Now, if you wanted to filter by these, you just have to tell us and we can turn it on for you on your account right over here. So anything that's here, you can filter by, but it's not necessarily here. We can turn it on by request. We get where they work, what they do, the industry their company's in. So this guy's an engineer, as in health services, he's a director of training. We get the personal LinkedIn URL. And then if they're licensed in a specific city, we get this information. So obviously there's NAs. Typically what I'll do is I'll put a switch just to remove anything that, has an NA. So that way you can get a more full list. You can also look up what type of seniority level they are. Are they a CFO, a CEO, an owner, director, staff, senior? You can categorize it all like this. So if we want to now go find only people who are managers, just type in manager. And now we found all the managers that are in these postal codes actually. We'll get back over here and we can see that if I can find it, seniority level manager. And it did all the zip codes properly. So now we have everyone in these zip codes we selected. And we have a very narrow list of 100 people. So this isn't our real credit score. This just is listed in A, B, C, D, E, F, G order. If we wanted to select people with a B credit score, 13 people with a B credit score. And we can keep going forward. The other skip trace things we get, that's the way it should be. And now all the contact info. As you look left to right, it's a book. It's a time order of when we found information and stuff like that. So within here, there's multiple contact pieces of information. There's direct phone number. I'm going to make a guide because direct phone number will be the lowest percentage of connection. Mobile phone, which is also listed here, would be the second greatest connection. And then skip trace, with 20% of them are skip trace wireless. These, I would say about 95% are accurate because these are what I would call triple verified because they were matched in one source that we know was accurate, and then we use many other sources to confirm the number. So these numbers are here because we confirmed the number in 3 different spots, and the mobile phone is, oops, I just closed that tab. And the mobile phone, I would say about 80% are verified, but we only found the number in 2 spots. So when people ask what works best, you have to figure out for you because you may have an outbound center that uses landlines. People do, but another user might not want that. So you can then go and say, all right, I want to make sure every single record has a skip trace cell phone now. So you can really define how you want to do your marketing. And a lot of these did. We only lost 2 results. And all the rest of these have what we were looking for.
This is for any industry that
you can do this for anything. Yeah. So right over here, you have department, job title, industry. So what's like an example industry you'd want to look at?
building management companies.
So like construction or property.
Property management.
Yeah, property.
So we can do this multiple ways. We have our database business professionals, and under department, I know there's a real estate department, right? If they do management, they're definitely in real estate. So we're going to do a few different lists just so you can see the whole thing. So right here, real estate department. I'll just say works in real estate. The reason I'm doing this is because there's different combinations of ways to find what you're looking for. So just for people who work in real estate right now, 172,000, which I have to add some more to here now that I've done that. But you wanted to figure out manager. So let's go add another list and call it real managers. And I'm going to label it 1 because there's a few ways to do it. In real estate managers 1, we're obviously going to we'll remove the real estate category. Actually, we're going to keep the real estate category. I'm sorry. And we're just going to fill this in with manager now. So now anyone that works in real estate that's a manager will be listed here. So when we go off and we now search that, we take 172,000 results and get it to 25. So maybe that's not best. Maybe we want to get rid of job title, and maybe we want to put manager under seniority because, it's a database. There's more than one way. Oh, what do you know? When you type in manager under seniority, you get 16,000. So we'll save this as list 1 just because now I want to explore it. So I'm going to go back to our purchase database, get to my business professional database. We're going to go take a look at the 2 lists we did. So we'll click the real estate manager one first. So let's go take a look, see what the data in this section. Oh, what do you know? They're all listed as property manager in the job title, and we didn't even need to filter manager because we were able to now do that through seniority level. So the seniority level is manager. That's why we do these things, because there's a lot of different ways to do it to get the best results. And we just did this and look what we discovered, leasing real estate. So, now let's go experiment real quick and see if this brings us anywhere closer. Industry.
Brian, not to interrupt you, but can you go over that function where you can skip trace?
The numbers are pre-skip traced. So there's different degrees of enrichment. So we pre-do all this in advance that we update daily. So we're always skip tracing the phone numbers in advance and then giving you the option of, do you want skip trace number only, or do you just want to make sure everything has a regular old cell phone?
So let's stay focused and keep it
So-
moving. The skip tracing goes on. No matter what data goes into our system, we are enriching and skip tracing it. You always will have the choice to only show records with skip trace data. Questions in the chat. Is there a CRM within Avocadata?
Yes, there is. So we can go off into a little white label section. Anyone that signs up to your system to download leads is in your CRM. People who sign up, you can charge them right here. If you want to add a payment method, you can bill them here on the back end. You can select the databases they have access to, and then you can see what data is in each database, give you a better insight of what they paid you for and how much to provide them. And you can add your user to a plan. You can obviously sell the information, but that's not necessarily what I'm meaning by white label. This scenario is almost like Salesforce, where you have an internal team. Some people want their call center basically to be all within one white label, and they just basically set free plans up for their users to download, because you guys are charged by us on download speed. We provide you on every package unlimited lead, and then you're just capped at 5,000 records a minute to download. You are able to set all this up for your users, maintain what they do from here, from this section, and click in, leave notes. Basic CRM. It's not meant to be anything fancy.
All right. Beth has a question in the chat. How do you set it up? And do you have access to the entire database?
So we'll go through the process, right? So everything starts on this page, right? So you need to have an account made, and you can get into the whole system with no payment. Now, and what that means is you can set your white label up, you can flip this admin tab, do everything you need to. There'll be nothing in here though. So every plan you subscribe to, you have the ability to then resell it or redistribute it within your own white label. So everything you buy on the Avocadata app ends up in here for you to be able to resell or to allocate under your own domain. So that's what's really cool, where anything you buy here, we give you the entire back end at no additional cost to set it up for your own internal team. Maybe a third party paid you to set up the whole thing for them. And that's another very interesting service where you are almost like a virtual CTO. Someone can hire you to set up an internal database system, and you're just really just white labeling a system for them that they have their name on, and you're building a database for them to make it feel like it's like, imagine call centers, imagine any of these types of internal companies that do outbound in the United States, and the ease of use it would be about. Now, the databases, you don't get access to everything. Now, within here, you actually tell us the database you want us to build. So we put together something called intent leads, where they are actively Googling different keywords that you want us to put in your database. Now, they are not necessarily buyers. They could be an attorney looking up attorney services. Well, let me give you an example. So we have real estate, sell my home, home seller there. So people looking up selling their home and whatnot. We have 80,000 people in here. It's very possible a real estate agent looked this up. So, I mean, if we want to go off again to department and we type in real estate, we can get an idea of, well, out of all these people, how many are definitely not looking to sell a home? Well, out of 80,000, only 600 are in real estate. So that's a pretty good metric. So we put one of these databases together for you for $4.99. You can give us any combination of keywords, which obviously makes the database bigger. However, you won't be able to identify which keyword each record used. So you'd be making it pretty broad and generic. So when I say motor vehicle accident, this might be people looking up for car accident lawyers, car accident attorneys, and any semantics that are related to it. Now, you don't have to get as specific. I recommend you don't, for the only reason that, for instance, this is home remodeling we put together. He paid $4.99 and he only wanted Virginia surrounding area. Now, he limited himself because theoretically, if he did the whole country, this could have been 600, 700, 800,000 records. And all he would have had to do is just go to the state that we have right here, like we did before. And I want to find everyone in Maryland. Well, MD. So, you know what I mean? They limited themselves to that, but that's their choice. That's your choice. It's however you want us to do it, basically. But we build this custom, it's exclusive, and only you have access to it.
Word. So she had a follow-up question. Yes, that's correct. No fee until you take leads. Do we help set it up? Well, Yeah, there's some guidance and advisory available. There's also a plan where we just white glove set it up for you, if you'd rather have that. So there's some options, but certainly, you know, we can provide some support in getting your white label online. Brian spends a lot of time supporting a lot of our users to make sure that they are getting in there.
Yeah, and we also every one of these videos turns into a group of questions, and then those
Yeah.
questions turns into more guides like this. So
Okay,
it is all,
manual. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
no, I was just gonna say it is all listed out. It is at the same level of difficulty as setting up a Go high level website. Maybe a teeny bit, yeah, same level of difficulty. There's no automation, so you don't have to worry about that. But it is entirely doable by you. If you don't have to pay us to do it, it's not. It's just if you want to skip the process and don't have to think about it, then that would be a reason to pay for it.
Perfect. All right. Manuel has a question, and then I got something from Wendy in the chat. So we'll go Manuel first.
Yes. So for every data that we request, specifically data, it's $4.95, or how much is it? I'm not getting that.
So it's you for $499 a month. You can give us a list of any amount of keywords, and we build that database for you. If you want to get more databases, the next upgrade would be $7.99, and what that does is it lets you give us 2 separate sets of keywords. But quite honestly, I don't recommend starting with this. Start with this, because if you ever want to upgrade, it's prorated, so you're not paying 500 and 500. You're just paying 500 and upgrade to 800 basically within the month. So start with one, and I usually say go more broad, because you have the ability to filter it further. I mean, some people are like, all right, I want to get a separate one for people looking to refinance a home, and I want a second database for people looking for a mortgage on a home. They're the same thing, and yeah, they're different, but in terms of data analytics and, you know, all of this type of stuff, you're better off taking the broader audience than making 2 separate databases and paying $300 more a month.
Got it. Okay. So it's a monthly for that fee. You can order different data, I guess, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So what do you sell?
Well, I have 2 different companies. I have a home improvement business, which is a epoxy floor, a one-day floor. We do garages. I have also a painting company. So just thinking, you know, if I look for the keyword epoxy floors or garage floors, that will come out, right?
So you would have to determine that in advance. So basically, step one, once you get started, you would give us a list of keywords. So let me get to home remodeling just as an example. Home remodeling. Now, this person set it up on home remodeling. We obviously used a group of keywords. It wasn't just home or roof replacement. It was a group of all those words together, anything relative to home improvement. You can ask for the words individually, but what I was saying before is it's unnecessary for money, I would say. You get the same benefit just doing one broader one, but you are not able to target in here what keyword they searched. So once the database is made, this is what they did. You can't identify anything else that they did, but you can, you know, filter down their income, all these different options you have available to go down. So if we want to find people in home remodeling with a higher income range, and maybe we want to make sure everyone is a homeowner, we go hit search. The reason why I didn't find any is because I remember when I was saying it has to be equal, like it has to be the same exact thing you type in. This option doesn't exist, so that's why it's finding 0. But so if you were to filter homeowner, well, out of the 50,000 people who were looking for remodeling, 36,000 were homeowners, so like 76%. But you wouldn't be able to say, okay, they were looking for kitchen remodeling. You wouldn't be able to tell that unless you have us do an entirely separate database for kitchen remodeling. But the only caveat is you obviously are going to get a lot less results because you might be missing out on tile replacement, you know? And that's why I say it's better to go broad, because tile replacement and bathroom, they overlap a little bit because you're doing backsplashes and tiling on the floor. So that's why, and even if there's something, and even with home remodeling, if something's not on their mind to do immediately, you know, it all encompasses itself kind of.
Okay. I
save
think
money.
we have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and you save money. That was the only other thing I wanted to say. And you save money.
Yeah, I think, and it also depends on how you use the data and the audiences, right? Like, I have somebody who needed to segment the stuff out because the custom ad sets that he's doing are completely different. So he needed the list to be clearly associated with each of the keywords. So it depends on how you're using it as well. So I have John in the queue, but first, real quick, I've just got the question from Wendy in the chat, which is a question we get every week. What about bad data? She used to manage a call center, and often they would get, you know the story. So let's talk about data, bad data, qualifying data, improving the quality of your data searches, etc.
So let me actually ask you a question. What specifically are you asking?
Bad data. So how do we prevent from aggregating bad data?
Oh, disclosure. So before, we were going over that there's different degrees of validation of matches. So the most valid phone number, obviously, is the skip trace wireless, because we found that phone number in more than 3 different locations that basically said it was up to date and everything. Now, there is a mobile phone, which is, verified as a cell phone, but it's only double verified, which means we found it on one original source that we know that we use as our primary dictionary, and we found it tied to another secondary source. In terms of ratio percentages, I can tell you that the skip trace numbers, 95% of them they hit a voicemail or someone, they don't just ring and ring and ring. They actually hit a voicemail after 30 seconds, so they're active. The mobile phones, about 75% do that. So you do see a reduction in the mobile phones. So in terms of bad data, this is how we identify it. Because it's not necessarily bad. There's plenty of people who might want to use this info because they might have another way of cleaning it, because they still have 75% of the phone numbers that are good. They just might have a better way of removing the 25% than we did, versus us skip tracing with the way we were to do the same. And then emails, obviously, I'll say with emails are a little bit more tricky. Business emails, I don't recommend, because they don't get delivered. Not because the email's incorrect, but every business uses Cloudflare or some white label or third party of Cloudflare that all use the same technology, meant to stop fraudulent emails. So you fall under the category of spam, which they consider fraudulent too. So personal email, I always think, is the best. Now, I do a process for myself with the personal email. Emails, we don't have the ability to validate in advance. The phone numbers we can. So what I do personally is, if I get a list of personal emails, I'll throw it into a verification. I personally use Go High Level because I can validate 100,000 emails for $1 and move those over into my campaign. And I can show you real quick. I get like a 99% delivery rate. Now, the only other thing that I do in the process too is I remove, just for personal preference, the Hotmail, Gmail, anything that's owned by Microsoft, because they screw your email up. They flag you pretty quickly. But yeah, this is about half of these are cold. Other half of them are the ones you've gotten spammed on. But one thing I'll point out with that is there's probably some people in here right now that have gotten over 100 emails from us over a year, and they've opened 20% of them. And that's exactly why I can send 250,000 extra emails cold every month, because the metrics are very skewed to a better reputation. So I'm starting to make a course on this, but anyone that's doing email marketing or wants to should try to put together like a 45-day email campaign of just educational info, news, stuff that's relevant to the people and not a sale. Because you'll start identifying people that open the emails, and when they actually open the emails, they're helping you long-term send a cold email and being able to keep your delivery rate optimized. So just wanted to throw that in there as well.
So I'm assuming that you're using multiple domains that are connected to your domain, correct?
No, one. This is actually one domain. And I would not know how to redo this for somebody other than telling them the way I did it, which is just sending a lot of emails to opted-in people and just having the metrics get so skewed that I can actually do cold and it doesn't affect me because my open rate's so high. So obviously it's a mix of, go ahead.
So are you scrubbing it through, one email system, with the cold emails, and then rescrubbing, resending other emails in a different system when you find out, with the 20% that opened it?
All the same system right now. So I only use Go High Level. I mean, I set up my own server on where my domain is, just the data to leads one. And that's all I need to do for it. And in Go High Level right here, they have this really inexpensive email validation which I started using because it's just really cheap and effective. And
Yeah, 100,000 per dollar is unheard of. That's really good. That's
yeah,
really good.
then
Are you on the main package for Go High? What level of Go High level you on to get it for that cheap?
the
Or is
$500,
that on the base?
that's the
Okay, so is that
$500.
on the lower level?
No, like if you're a white
Do you know?
label, they give you everything at cost basically.
Okay, so you have to be the white label side. Okay,
Yeah, I think it's like 500 a month. But
but
yeah,
that's, I mean, that alone right there is almost worth it.
that's what's awesome about this. Like even if you don't need 90% of it, there's that 10% of what they do have that actually, gets you excited.
But yeah,
So-
from the 300 to the 500, that's pretty worth it.
I have another question, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, go for it. And then we got Randy. Go ahead, Wendy.
yeah. So in regards to bad data, it's a little bit more than that. When you have really high volume customers, I mean, to give you context, I used to run call centers that were, well, first I ran a call center that was negotiating merchant cash advances, and then I ran call centers that were for merchant cash advances because the persons whose business I destroyed hired me. Long story. But so with those, you're going through high level, like high volumes of leads, funneling them through. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of thousands a day sometimes, depending on what business. And we would get batches of them, batches that were just complete garbage, that have just been oversold so many times that, if you even get a voicemail, that's like a miracle that nobody ever answers. Like we've gone through entire lists that nobody's ever answered, and we've gone, and cycled it for 30 days. So when we get that, we would just send it back to whoever we bought the leads from, and they would give us a credit just because of the volume. But how is that handled? Like, how is that handled when, a particular lead list is completely oversold and it just they're not getting anything out of it. You want your customers to have an ROI.
Yeah, so two things to that. This is not, we don't provide like opted in leads, right? So in terms of it being oversold, I mean, it's not like it's a person who submitted a form for merchant cash and was sold to 200 people in the last few days. This is all information data. So anyone that's listed as home improvement, showing that they want to purchase a home, these people were Googling specifically. In terms of oversaturation, the good thing I would argue with this is not everyone is coming here to send email. Some people are coming here because they just do telemarketing. I mean, that was our main audience for 5 years and how we got really good at this. People who did telemarketing, but there's a lot of people who don't nothing to do with that. They want to just stick with the agency email stuff. I wouldn't say they're oversaturated at all because there's over 150 million people, but we make it easy. Just tell us if there's stuff you don't like, and you actually get unlimited, so you don't have to worry about that. I just totally forgot about that. You get unlimited leads. Every day this goes back up to whatever number this is, I think 10 million, and you're just capped at downloading 5,000 per minute. So if you have any bad lists, download every single day, and the data is uploaded every single day too.
We're very selective about the data providers, and very soon what's going to happen is everybody's going to be able to rank the data they're getting from the different providers, and you're very much going to have like, hey, these guys are quality data, these guys are less quality data. It's going to be very clear because it's going to be you, the community, that's really giving that feedback, and that's going to be powerful. Okay, so real quick, we got Randy, and then it looks like we got John. So let's get Randy's question real quick. He's been waiting. Randy.
Here we go. Hey, what's the best company to use to send all these emails?
There isn't really a company. It's more like you have to set up instantly. However, instantly is very expensive, and they basically ensure your deliverability, but they're charging you $50 for every 10,000 emails. Now, doing it yourself, and that's what I was saying a few minutes ago, was sending the cold emails out to your internal people. That's really the best way because it's not instantly works 100%. It's not scalable in terms of cost. There are other, and if you use Mailgun, you just try sending 10,000 emails, you're going to have issues because, well, not designed to do that because you didn't set your account up in such a way. So I mean, and a lot of people try to sell emailing as being very easy, and I try to address it's not, because that's the big hurdle you have to get over is your deliverability.
And how do I send 50,000 a day?
You'd have to do a lot. We'll talk a little bit later because I can try to introduce you to some people.
Okay.
It's a science behind it. It's not like marketing.
Yeah.
You have to be good at marketing. You don't have to be good at copyright. You have to be good at understanding IP addresses and making sure that Google doesn't catch you. It's like cybersecurity you're basically doing at the same time.
Okay, so I gotta warm my accounts up.
Yeah, I'm gonna find some video.
Yeah, there's an art to it. We'll hold a separate room on this. I know the next room that I have to schedule as a side room is the TCPA and compliance stuff. But after that, we'll also do one with an email marketing specialist or a couple of them that we work with, who will share some of their, what they do and some of their strategies with us.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys have a great one. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I think John had a question, and then looks like Drazik is back.
Honestly,
Go ahead,
I'm good. I'm waiting on a calendar link for you guys to do a sales call, set up a sales call. I've been What? There we go. Thank you.
Perfect.
I
All right,
had a text.
gotcha.
I had a text thread. I was waiting for it anyway. At the same time, this is going on, so I'm good. You answered most of my questions, and if you're running out of time, so I'll talk to somebody on the sales call. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Look forward to talking to you. Razik is back in the queue. What you got?
Have is once you do your list for XYZ, whatever it is, you do a list. Is that your exclusive, or somebody else can use it also?
There's two things to that. First thing is this, that the database we put together for you here, only you have access to it. So this is a snapshot, right? This is people who looked up something at a certain point in time and day. So this is from December 3rd. So this was a guy who subscribed last month who resubscribed again this month. So we put a database of this for him, people in the Northeast who are Googling roofing jobs. And we actually just put another one together for him, which I can show you right here. That is for roofing intent for January that I just uploaded. That's not in there yet. So every month we update this for him, and he's the only one getting it. But let's say hypothetically, John signs up 10 days later and pays. He's not going to get these ones because this was the prior 7 days. So when John pays, they're going to get the prior 7 days as well. So
Right. The snapshot is taken from the time you request the database. So it'll be it'll be that window of like the previous 7 to 9 day period from when so if you request a database today, you're going to get everybody who's shown active intent online for that product or service within the last 7 to 9 days.
I see.
And again, there's one thing I always like to address. Even if there was an overlap, a lot of people do not use the data they buy because they end up running into problems, or they might send out 1,000 messages and get 10 people on the hook, and they're just going to work on those 10 closes, and they're not going to keep doing when it's not opted in leads, you're not really having an issue, because if you have opted in leads, you might have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. We have 150 million records that are validated 6 different ways. So there's many different ways to get in contact with these people. Some people might never look at their cell phone and they never do text messages. Some people might only respond to emails. So basically, even if the guy who downloaded all the lists and sent email, there's probably a good amount of people in there that never looked at it. So it's still fresh meat if you're doing cold calling or texting or anything like that.
All right. Looks like our last question is good. Oh,
Okay. So the maximum amount of leads you can download at one time is 5,000.
Correct. Yes. And there are upgrades to the download speed that we're trying to figure out still, because if all of you log in at the same time and try to download 5,000 records at once, the system would crash. So we need to figure out different. 1 second. Kim, I'll let you talk about a sec.
Is 5,000 records in one category or 5,000 records total?
No, and so you can download if you
no,
want.
per download, you can do 10 downloads of 5,000 records. I mean, you can literally, there's just the list limit is the 5,000, right? And so,
Okay. All right.
yeah, if your result on your intent search is 500,000 people, I mean, literally, you can do just download lists of 5,000 until you get all those people down.
Let me ask you this: Do you understand Make or Zapier, Rajiv?
Yeah, got it.
It's the same type of thing, because if you have to keep pushing data out, literally each one of these is a web. So we're trying to figure out a scalable model where if you want to build a list of 100,000 each, we're trying to figure out a scalable model. And quite honestly, your guys' feedback telling us what the value is, what the price for an increase is, would help us get there a little bit faster, because we're just trying to figure out what really people need.
Why don't you just set up a queue system?
Oh, go ahead.
Why don't you just set up
What's that?
why don't you just set up a queue system, and people can just set the number of leads that they want, and it, overnight it just spits it out.
Well,
Because basically, let's say you're compiling a file of 100,000, right? Now you're doing 20 times the work, and not just 20 times, but in terms of a queue, when you actually are mining the file online, it's taking power for someone maybe searching or something like that.
I think the short answer is, in order for us to make sure that we're making the system the most effective it can be for everyone, then we just need to set the guidelines and the rails that we know we can deliver quality performance and quality data at. We're not going to take chances of letting people set thresholds that we can't keep up with. That's going to then put us behind the 8 ball. We've done very well over the last 4 years to develop, iterate, and bring this thing to market in a way that is sustainable to ensure that we're going to be here for our clients in the years to come as we start to grow this whole community. So with that, Brian Clark, looks like you got the last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. We do try and keep these things to 1 hour. They are every Wednesday, noon Eastern. I appreciate everybody showing up and bringing your questions, because as I mentioned at the top of the hour, none of this works without you. Your participation, your feedback, your questions, all of it is how we get better and deliver you a better product. So appreciate that. What's up, Brian?
I love it, man. I love it. What's up, guys? My question will be quick. Moving away from like product and one-to-one B2B sales, like like this is a huge leverage ad for marketers in getting a head start on running like very large enterprise campaigns. So my question is, are you guys just seeing a ridiculously higher conversion rate on these data sets when running ads? Not
Good.
talking B2B.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
Good question. So what I've found my own trick with this, where obviously if you're targeting people actively searching stuff, more expensive because that's what Google, Facebook is charging more. However, I discovered through an accident that you can take the same audience that's in America and do a lookalike in a cheaper country that still has people who spend money. And I personally target India because I have some clients that spend thousands of dollars a month with me and they're in India and they pay us in every month. So this is my Indian audience. So this is DAS. These are people who specifically looked up data as a service in the last 10 days. Now, these are both lookalikes. I don't target these people directly just because it's very expensive. And at the end of the day, if you have 10,000 people who look something up, they're all going to have something similar about them. And Google does a really good job. But this is my Indian audience. And I spent all right. So what I found that worked really well was, like I was saying, targeting India by accident. Because if you look at this, you can see for $80, 175,000 individuals were.
Yeah, less than $1 per. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing, so that's what sorry, someone's messaging me right now because
We got something on the calendar, and we're coming up here to the end of our hour, so we should button it up. And
let me let you run this.
Brian, I sent you some case studies from our agency. Obviously, in addition to being a partner here, I, like Brian, got involved in this out of necessity, right? Brian needed to solve the ETL and large text table solution. I needed better data. I needed to pivot my marketing company and position it for the future. Link Media Partners, and we've been around since 2006, and we've always found a way to innovate and pivot. And so, our involvement, in addition to being a co-founder here, I'm also a user of the product, and I swear by it. It saved my agency, and our clients swear by it because the results that they get are better than anything that they've got in recent years. For two reasons. One, we're able to be very honest and transparent with them about how the landscape is changing. And two, we're starting with better data and things like SHA-256 is that we can do custom audiences and target people who have expressed intent and catch people while they're in discovery mode. So, with all that said, I want to say thank you for everybody who came to this week's AMA. Next week, we will have another one. I'm going to circulate. Hopefully, we'll start taking some of the questions in advance here as we start to get more people who show up. I want to make sure we are getting to all the questions. And I know, some people pop in and they're on sort of time constraints. So if you didn't get your question answered, or if you feel like you need a one-on-one or a product demo or any of that, you can reach out to Brian or myself, or there's a calendar link to schedule a call. And we're happy to jump on and answer any questions if you need some support in getting your white label set up or figuring out which intent database or what you need. We're here for it. So appreciate everybody showing up, and let's go. Let's keep building, and let's all go make money. That's what it's all about, I think. And we're all having a lot of fun doing it. Let's keep doing that. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.